Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing YouTube and work authorization in Thailand. You know, in my personal life, I find it interesting when it intersects with my professional life, and people are asking me the same things on sort of both sides of the looking glass, if you will. I say to myself, well, maybe that's something a video, we should do something to cover that in a video. I've done a number of videos, one specific, I think I've done two, specifically on YouTubing and work permits. I've done other videos on, and I'm going to quote from one of them here in a moment, on work just generally in Thailand. But I've already discussed this on this channel before, but long story short, yeah, if you're working and you're making a YouTube video in Thailand, you have a YouTube channel, it could be construed as work, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the other Thai attorneys in the firm. You know, we've sort of looked at this, we've discussed this before again on this channel, notwithstanding the fact that folks aren't, being called out on it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not, it's not a violation of the Thai labor laws. The reason this kind of came to my attention, I've had like 3 or 4 people, again, just sort of I've been talking to in a personal context, and even kind of acquaintances who've said, now, what is the rule on YouTube and work permits? All these people, and I think they're thinking that with COVID, there's been kind of a proliferation of YouTube videos out there. We certainly, at one point, had a lot more time to dedicate to doing YouTube videos, especially on the permutations and the evolution of the Thai immigration system. And then I got some comments, I got some emails, and this one comment was kind of indicative, and I think this was meant to be in the negative, and I'll explain why in a moment. But in a prior video we did, again, on YouTubing and work authorization, there was a commenter that said, quote, "Very sad these people that want to raise barriers, put billboards in airports, no cameras or smartphones allowed with," I think it was meant to be without a work permit, "pure buffalo crap!" exclamation point. So, look, I don't make the rules on this. This is not me saying that YouTubers need to, if you're doing YouTube in Thailand, you need to have a work permit. I'm saying that based on what we've seen in the regulations, the decrees, the labor law of Thailand, yeah, I think if you are, doing YouTube, it could be, again, could be construed as being in violation of Thai labor law. And I go back to it's actually not an article, it's a video we did. It's actually on our website, www.legal.co.th. We put up the transcript of the video, which I'm going to quote directly. This was titled, and we did this, I think this was over a year ago, "What is the legal definition of work in Thailand?" And so in that video, and I'll go ahead and put a link to the video in the description below to that video directly, so you can see both the transcript and the video. But we were quoting from the Foreigners Working Management Decree, the Foreigners Working Management Emergency Decree of 2017. If folks who are longtime viewers, longtime frequent watchers, may recall, back in 17 and 18, there were substantial changes to the Thai work regulations. And there was a decree in 17, there was another one in 18 that had a pretty tremendous impact on work authorization rules in Thailand. And in this article, in this video previously, we were quoting from the Department of Employment website, that's doe.go.th, but quoting directly from Section 5 of, again, the Foreigners Working Management Emergency Decree of 2017, quote unquote, "work means the use of physical strength or knowledge for engaging in an occupation or a job with or without an intention to obtain wages or any other benefit except the work prescribed in the notification of the minister." And they go on, and there's a lot more in there. They go on to say, there could be exceptions to that rule, specifically ministerial regulation can be promulgated to create exceptions. The minister himself can create exceptions. But again, It doesn't matter if you're getting paid, with or without an intention to obtain wages. And work means the use of physical strength or knowledge for engaging in an occupation or job. So job is one thing. A job is like what we think 9 to 5, whatever. You know, occupation could just be something you do. I mean, for lack of a better term, that's kind of analogous to a hobby. You know, YouTube could definitely be considered an occupation. And again, I think it would definitely be considered an occupation for those who monetize their endeavors. I want to be clear, I'm not casting aspersions at anyone who undertakes this. This is not any kind of rebuke against them. It's more a warning in a sense that, look, just because the system hasn't noticed yet, you know, and law and bureaucracy, it always looks backward. It's never particularly forward-looking, especially law enforcement agencies and things. But again, as YouTube becomes more ubiquitous, you know, it would not shock me to see people that get into some hot water over work authorization issues associated with YouTube. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion either, but understand the way that work is defined in Thailand is very broad. It does not have to be compensated. And, you know, those who are clearly engaging in what could be described as work and filming oneself engaging in an occupation could be deemed work. It's not that big of a stretch. Again, not a foregone conclusion that's going to happen, but, you know, I've had a lot of people, you know, in some cases in a rather friendly way that have sort of, you know, wanted to challenge that notion, but I think it's fairly straightforward. You know, if you're engaging in, you know, again, just one more time, use of physical strength or knowledge for engaging in an occupation or a job with or without intention to obtain wages or any other benefit, that's a lot of things, you know, and I would say it's not an unreasonable argument to presume YouTube could fit into that framework. Not saying that it necessarily does, but I'm saying it could be construed that way. So again, that's basically our take on it, or my take on it. Vetted this with the Thai attorneys here in the firm. You know, in a general sense, yeah, I think those who are not work authorized in Thailand, especially those who may be earning their living off of YouTube, really need to be careful.